Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon. My name is Marlene Mayanga, and I am reporting live from a very, very cold Nairobi, Kenya. So we hope you guys are doing well and keeping warm. I have missed having sessions with Fred here, so I'm glad to be yet on another session here with him. And today we are going to be having a fintech conversation. We have a very interesting guest. So, yes, just before we dive into what this discussion is about, I'm going to let Fred introduce himself and maybe tell us, because he's not in Nairobi, tell us how the weather is. We could be migrating very soon and joining you there in Miami. So, hi, Fred.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
I'm good, I'm fine.
Yeah, the weather over here is it's a bit warm. Like it's super warm, and the room where I am,
Mhm.
the room where I am, it's not soundproofed. So I don't know whether you can hear kids in the background. I live next to a school.
Okay. No, I can't hear.
You can hear. So
No.
I'm just close the louvers, so I think that's why the sound is locked. But the weather is warm, like super warm, and I'm just beginning to feel the heat. But I'm also beginning to feel the heat because of the guests that we are going to be interviewing today. Rita Njeri, she'll be joined in this call in a few moments. But the topic that today we want to discuss is fintech, and I got curious. You guys know Saruni Maina.
Yeah, we do.
Is going to be hosting a space today,
Yeah.
and there's something that he said that when people think about fintech,
Mm-hmm.
they're always thinking about narrowly in the sense of payments, and there's that kind of confusion of what really encompasses fintech, like the definition,
Yeah.
because we are used to M-Pesa, and fintech is really really wide,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah, that's what kind of gave me this idea to invite somebody who has been in the fintech field for long, like Rita
And
has, and
and
so that
and and,
just
and
con-
the guys in the fintech space are not as loud as our
yes, yes,
much loved
yeah,
techies in the industry.
yeah,
So, yeah.
and then also because Mal, you're interested in joining fintech.
Exactly. Yes, yes. I want to join the people in fintech. I love money and tech put together. So
Yeah.
yeah, this conversation is very it's a big thing for me too. So I'm glad to be having her here. And our guest today is quite special and unique for a couple of reasons. Number one, she's the first female guest we've had on this podcast, and as a cheerleader for women in tech, I am definitely excited to have her here with us today. And the second one, this one she would be in a better position to say, but just letting the cat out of the bag beforehand. She is an is it an alumni? She's not done yet, but she is a student at Stanford University. Yo, we are having some big people
Yeah.
on here. So when
Uh,
you hear Fred saying he's anxious or nervous for this conversation, with reason, guys, with absolute reason. I am too. I'm a bit nervous because you can't just be talking here today. Yeah.
you've spoken about something.
Kwenye
Uh,
context.
you've talked about women in tech, and
Yeah,
there was there's a tweet that somebody put
I
out.
saw it.
Yeah, I saw that tweet,
So that's it.
and I think it kind of elicited mixed reactions, with some people saying that the tech field has gotten to that point where I think the playing field is kind of leveled, but some
Is
people also
it?
disagree.
You think it
And,
is level?
yeah.
You think it's level?
I think I belong to the band of people who say that there are opportunities for everybody, because and I say this because
There
uh,
could be opportunities for everybody, but are they open to having women in those spaces yet? And the women that are in those spaces, how are they treated? It's not really about just opening the door for women to get into tech, but also how welcoming is the environment for women to thrive in those spaces.
but when you're talking about the environment, Mal, what do you mean welcoming environment? Like what it quotes welcoming environment? Because I mean there are like 1,001 platforms, education
Mm-hmm.
platforms, and organizations that are catering to women in tech, like the She Code Africa, She Hacks, all these organizations. And so sometimes I wonder whether that when you talk about, maybe just let me hear from the horse's mouth when you're talking about that enabling environment. What do you mean by enabling environment, as we wait for the guest?
Hi guys.
Hi, Rita is here, so that discussion will have to wait for when we have our one-on-one session. So, hi, Rita, we are very excited to have you today. Just before you got in, we were doing an introduction of you to the audience, but I don't want to get ahead of myself since you're here. You can finish the introduction and just tell us more
Oh, what
about.
have you said so far,
Yeah, not
Merline?
a lot.
That
Just
you're
that
in
you're the
Stanford.
first, just that you're the first female guest we've had on our podcast since we
Uh-huh.
began it. So yeah, for me that's very exciting because women in tech, yay! And that you are, is it a student or an alumni of
I-
Stanford University?
I'm a student. I'm a student for Stanford Lead.
Yeah, that is big deal. That is big deal.
But I actually had to defy to start at the beginning of next year because of many things, have a new
Yeah.
job. Yeah, so
Okay.
uh, yeah.
Okay. Tell us about you.
So happy to be here. My name is Rita Njeri. I am crazy about fintech. I like to say that fintech kind of chose me somewhere down my career. I just
Calling
found
my
myself,
name very loudly, so yes, loudly talking, yes.
yeah, it just chose me, and I found myself in this fintech world, and it's been an amazing marriage. And when I say an amazing marriage, it's given to me what I have given to it, and it's just been an amazing journey. But I didn't start at fintech. I started in the telecommunications industry,
We
and
stalked you and saw that, so yeah, we want to see how
yeah,
how was the
And,
transition?
and you and you started way, way, way back, because I was checking your profile on LinkedIn, and I was
Yeah,
kind of impressed seeing Kensel. I think I saw Kensel and
Celtel.
Celtel, yeah, and I was like, wait a minute, because I remember when when the first SIM card that my dad bought was, I think, a Kensel SIM card, and that was like eons back. So been
Yes.
for a while, yeah.
let me tell you, I like to say that I worked for 4 organizations when I was at Airtel. Yeah, so because I joined just when Kentel was handing over to Celtel.
Yeah,
So there was Kentel, then there was Celtel, then there was Zain, and then there was Airtel.
yeah,
So literally, and if you know a bit about those organizations, they were very different in the way they run and who runs them. So like if you look at Celtel, it was French. And then when you look at Zain, it was from the Middle East, from Bahrain. And then Airtel coming in, it's Indian in nature. And I mean, it was very different. Just having to switch how you think, how you do business over time. So yeah, I started working when I was 17. So
Oh, okay.
long story.
All right.
So that's how you see like my career looks the way it looks, and I'm guessing you stalked me on LinkedIn because this is the only you can get all this information
Yeah.
yeah.
we
dumped
had to
there.
we had to know our guest's background because we can't, yeah, we needed to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, that was 10 and a half years and 10 and a half years working in Africa and the subcontinent of India. I was in India for about a year, and that was amazing working for, in Africa and in Kenya specifically. Airtel has always been a challenger, but going to India, Airtel was actually the market leader. So it was very interesting to see that flipping and working for a market leader and the kind of pressures. They're very different, actually. How you run your business when you're a challenger and how you run your business when you're a market leader is quite different.
Right.
And then after that, I took a sabbatical for some time, just trying to figure out, the eat, pray, love thing. You're like, okay, so I need to just stop.
Yeah.
Started working when I was super young.
Yeah.
Then fintech.
Yeah.
So
You found it when you're on your sabbatical. You're like, what type of girl do I want to be going forward?
yeah, I think so. I think so, and maybe I have to attribute a lot of that to the the fact that telecommunications was a fantastic foundation,
Yeah.
and kind of just catapulted me to be able to be in rooms where fintech conversations are being had and being able to understand that, and especially because of financial inclusion from a mobile money point of view. So because there was already Airtel Money and I was playing a bit of part to the Airtel Money journey, and not at the forefront, but just being in rooms where we were discussing about Airtel Money, I was very cognizant about financial inclusion and what that was going to do, and also just looking at M-Pesa being born Kenyan and a Kenyan and a proud Kenyan at that, and I'm seeing what M-Pesa has done for Kenyans in totality. So it was very easy then to have those conversations. So I guess how do I explain it? Fintech was I didn't understand it completely when I was on the other side, but it was not very different from what I was doing in the telecommunications world. I think that's how to just wrap that up. Yeah.
Even from your summaries on LinkedIn for the places you've worked, the descriptions of the work you were doing is not really different, even while you were in the telecommunication space. So I think, it was just you see the courtship period just before you got married. Yeah,
absolutely. It was a long courtship though.
Long. Sometimes that's okay.
Talking stage. The talking stage was unnecessary long.
What's your favorite color? We did that for our
purple.
Yeah.
Quite long, yeah. So yeah.
I want to throw in kind of a question, Rita. So over the time that you've been in the industry and generally in life, what lessons have you learned over that short period that you've been a resident of Earth, and in your career, that somebody asking and sitting across from you like us, you can just impart on them one or two lessons that you've learned?
Resident of Earth seems so ancient.
I know. Just like, resident of this place called Earth. I would summarize, it's a mindset thing. So I've grown to know that how I perceive things then dictates how my happiness or productivity is actually going to be. And I like to use this analogy. I actually go into every room, into every job, with the mindset that everybody wants me to succeed. So like that's where I start from. I'm just like I can't read minds. I've chosen to decide that every single person wants me to succeed. And so everything that comes after that, whether it is criticism, whether it is feedback, whether it is thumbs up, good job, I'm just like, it is completely aligned to everybody wants me to succeed. And then the second thing, which is what I am about more than fintech, maybe that's even where I should have started from, is finding something to be grateful for with every single thing that you do. And that has been my North Star through and through. I literally sometimes on a stressful day, I'm like, I need to find something to be grateful for right now. Like, I am stopping until I find it. And I started to challenge myself in 2016, and I said, I will always write 5 things I'm grateful for, and I'll never repeat. So it's all fun and games for like 2 weeks. And 3.
Imagine finding something to be grateful for every day,
and you're not repeating.
And you're not. My gosh, I'd get to some point I'd be like, okay, I'm grateful for life, for my parents, and that would be it.
There you go. Yeah, but you get creative, but more than getting creative, you start to be very mindful of everything around you. You start to really be present, because you're like, okay, what is around me right now that I've never taken notice that it's actually something to be grateful for. So those are the 2 things for me. I literally just block out. I'm like, everybody wants me to succeed, and I'm like, you know what, I'm grateful. That's the vibe, and that's what I'm going with.
Nice. I'm going to be picking that going forward. Finding one thing to be grateful for. It makes you appreciate the small things in life.
Yeah,
Really
true.
important, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially now that there's a lot going on, and it's, most of the time it's not really good things going on. So you really just need to find that energy within you to push you forward day by day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's get into the discussion of the day. You are our
Yes,
director.
and that's fintech.
Yes,
So
that's
actually, the background to this conversation is there's something that Saruni Maina is the one who connected us to you. Yeah,
yeah. I'm not
and
sure how you know each other. You let us know.
yeah, yeah. So there's something that Saruni said. He tweeted and said that when people think about fintech, they always kind of narrow it down to just the space about payments.
Yeah.
So it is, I think the way most people think about, that when they're talking about fintech is that the image of M-Pesa is usually very big. It looms really large. So when
Correct.
someone is thinking about fintech, they stop at M-Pesa.
Mm.
So maybe we could just start by unpacking fintech and just
Yeah.
the definitions, the elements of fintech that you have come across in your years of experience with the companies that you have been in and the products that you have
Yeah.
been in. Yeah.
Let's call it fintech for dummies. So what is
Yes,
fintech?
yes.
I think if we're to completely dumb it down, it is, just looking at every business that is using technology as a foundation to be able to provide or solve for a problem, right? Like that's pretty much what it is. So if you're using tech and maybe the thing that hoodwinks us a lot is the fin before the tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of when you put the fin before the tech is when now we're going to start to concentrate on the M-Pesas and mobile money and we really, really obsess about that part. But there's so many elements to fintech that and other techs that are coming up. Like today, when you're talking about technology being the foundation, we have influencer tech that has come up, right? I don't know if you guys know about influencer tech. It's
No,
something that,
I'm hearing that here for the first time.
oh, really?
Yeah.
So I will challenge you to look at a company called AI Influence. It's actually founded by a Kenyan and I think other guys, and they are using technology to be able to find work for influencers and be able to actually pay influencers in that sense. So there's literally there's a payment bit of it, but there's the technology that is for influencer marketing, right? Like so there's fintech, there's health tech. So there's a financial one, there's a health one, there's an influencer one, there's a HR tech that has become hot in the last since COVID started.
All right.
And there's this whole need of, okay, so we've not been looking at humans and people and solutioning for them, because it is a product in and itself, and it needs technology to be able to move, right? So anything that needs technology to be able to be the foundation, to be able to solve for a problem, to provide services, to be able to even do virtual shelving and all that.
Yeah.
It's all within the technology space.
Mhm.
And then now when you start to talk about fintech, and that's the space I've been playing in, which is the financial bit of it.
Yeah.
You start to talk about the ones that started a while back, which would be the card way of doing things, and now we've moved to virtual cards, which is still in the fintech space. We have the PSPs that are payment service providers that are they're aggregating all these different payments or ways to pay or ways to do financial transactions into like one single API, and you have access to all of them, right? And then now you also have lending as a thing, right? Like when you're talking about tech, you're literally also talking about what the lending space has become from a financial point of view, where accessing money has become that much easier, and that's a very thin line between financial inclusion and
Fintech.
and technology of it, like that's a very, very thin line.
Yeah.
So I think it's just where you're seated, how you're looking at it, what sort of segment or sector you're in, and what technology has done for you at a foundational level.
Oh, nice. Okay. So in just the same step, since you're a director at PowerPal, and this is one of the companies which is based in the UK but focuses on Africa that does payments. So what do you do at your company? What
where you have done research. I'm like,
of course, PSI 101.
So I work for a company called PawaPay, and PawaPay is a payments is a PSP, and interesting differentiator for PawaPay in the financial technology space is that PawaPay has taken an intentional strategic intent rather to focus 100% on mobile money. So literally, we wake up, we sleep mobile money, and we are doing direct integrations with the mobile money operators across the continent to be able to give access to businesses where when you're thinking about, say, for example, you have an e-commerce virtual store that you want to scale. You're probably currently just in Tanzania and you want to scale that to Rwanda, Ghana, Kenya, Uganda. You're able to just work with us from a payments point of view where we do the collections of payments, and we're able to have the different payment methods for the different countries that are there, and that's 100% mobile money. Why are we choosing to go the mobile money from a fintech point of view? We are choosing to go mobile money because we know that is what is the future of payments in Africa. We know that card has obviously, it didn't gain the traction that it needed to gain when it was supposed to, like the very developed markets.
Yeah.
And we are trailblazers as Africa, as a continent, from a mobile money point of view. So we're talking about today, there is over 300 million online businesses that are in Africa, and that's projected to grow to, 500 million in the next, 2 to 3 years. And what that means then is that you will need to have payment options that Rita or Fred or Merline finds easy to be able to actually do the purchases. And that's why we are just focusing on mobile money. So as a director at PawaPay, my role is to make sure that we are targeting customers, we are acquiring customers, we are literally just spreading the gospel of mobile money from a fintech point of view. Bringing in the customers, making sure that the customers get to the full potential of what they wanted to. So for example, you have a conversation and someone says, you know what, I'm present today in 2 markets and I want to get to 10 markets. So then that becomes a thing that is our true north. We want to make sure that the merchant gets to the 10 markets by making sure that we sort them out and they never have to think about payments in any way, shape, or form. So that's my so value growth. And at the end of the day, when we start to talk about you are in one country and then now you're in 10, or you are pushing volumes of say $1,000, you've grown into to $10,000 in a year. That then becomes the measure of success, or the metrics that we look at as a success for the space I'm in today.
Nice.
Wow.
So in the course of doing my assignment, Fred, you can go up.
I just wanted to follow up with a quick question before we forget, and that's on the cross-border payments, because I was also doing my research on this, and I found that there's still a challenge in cross-border payments, like you guys are doing it. And one of the things that is being mentioned is the cost aspect of cross-border payments. Just make us understand why it is so expensive. To implement cross-border payments, like
Sorry, even I feel like I've lost you. I lost the first. So you were saying the cost of cross-border payments.
Yeah,
You're
yes.
talking about cross-border payments. Like, why is it expensive? Suddenly, when we get to the border of Kenya and Uganda, the expense to send money to Uganda now becomes more expensive. What is it about these colonial borders that makes
Ah,
payments so
let me
expensive?
tell you, the bane of our very existence is the borders that we have, and the fact that we do not have a single currency, and we are,
Yeah.
we are regulated by different regulatory bodies in the different markets.
Mm-hmm.
And therein lies your answer, right? Like, when you look at why is it why is it costly, is because even if we have, say, for example, I'm assuming all of us are in Kenya. Is that
Yeah.
a safe assumption to make? Great. So we are in the East African community today, right? The East Africa community, we even have the passports to show, and they're all nice and light blue. And you'd expect that then, because of the East Africa community and the fact that we're trying to make the borders as gray as they possibly can, it then should mean that even the money movement should be should
That's
follow suit,
simple.
right? But that's not the case, and that's not the case because of different rules and regulations and different priorities from at a country level, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, when you look at taxation, when you look at the CBKs of the different countries, then they come with different rules, and then you have also bank charges. It's crazy. Like, when you look at it from just that part, it's super crazy. And then from a technology point of view, which is, I think, something that we always need to think about, is so today, if we're then trying to move like M-Pesa Uganda, M-Pesa Tanzania to M-Pesa Kenya, like, there's still taxation and all that, and even from a technology point of view, it doesn't speak to each other that seamlessly, right? So
Yeah.
maybe you find that these ones are hosted by Huawei, these are the other ones, it's a Nokia sort of platform, and costs are different. So you're like, okay, how much are we gonna, it's not
Smooth.
it's
Yeah.
not that simple. It's
Yeah.
not that smooth.
This one time was sending money from Kenya to Rwanda. It was a
Yeah.
whole interrogation. Are you sure you want to send this money? Is this the person you want to send it to?
Yeah.
Confirm.
And
So,
then
yeah.
no, but then actually, Merline, that's a fantastic thing to bring about, which is also why you find countries being that pedantic about
Scrutinous.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Is because of, also, we need to know where the money is coming from, where the money is going. I mean,
Yeah.
you find there's things like terrorism that are funded by very unassuming people who
Money
are
laundering.
making money from one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Money laundering, or even things like trafficking and all that. You really kind of just need to know where the money is coming from and where it's going.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I guess there's businesses that have gotten that much better in just understanding Africa and trying and make it that much cheaper to be able to move money. And last thing I want to say about that is 10 years ago, money always just moved from the Europes and the Americas to Africa,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's how money used to move. But now we have very many intra-Africa corridors that are mushrooming, and they're showing amazing signs of growth. Meaning there's trade that's happening. There's also, migration intra-Africa. I mean, all these are super good indications that we are becoming healthier as a people in Africa.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
And bringing in the subject of terrorism and money laundering, you are lucky that you have not been on the negative side of press. I know all press is good press, but you've not been on the negative side of press, unlike your counterparts. Yeah. Should I name names? Should I not?
No, I mean, I no. First of all, I need to make a disclaimer that I am here as Rita Njeri, the person who's done this whole. So I'm not speaking for any organization.
True.
So allow me to make that disclaimer and put that out there. So I can't speak for or against all these things that are happening in the media and press. Yeah.
But what do you think about the regulations across different countries on the matter of fintech and money and all that in that space?
I think there is always two sides of the story. I think what is controversial really sells, and most of the times we don't usually like pop under the hood and just ask, okay, so why is the regulator asking for this or not giving this or not doing this? I mean, there's a lot that can be improved in terms of speed to execution and all that. Like if I am to apply for a license, it shouldn't take very long for me to be able to get a license if I'm ticking all the boxes, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and those things have gotten better with time, and I can speak that I can speak from a point of information because I know how long it took probably where I was before and how long it's taking now. I know that there's some improvement, but in terms of what sells is that we never talk about the things that are working or the improvements that are being made. I think there is a lot that we can do in terms of what we were talking about, which is East Africa talking to each other and making it super easy. For example, also like when you start to talk about things like crypto and the fact that nobody understands it. In Africa, I feel like no one has actually taken the time to say we understand or we don't understand it, and therefore, so therefore we one day we get a statement to say do not do anything to do with crypto. The next day you're like, okay, if you do, it's at your risk. And then the next day, like, okay, maybe we will tax crypto. So it's just so out there.
There's been a policy that has been put out by the Kenyan government that they might start taxing crypto.
Correct.
I think today or yesterday on the same. And since I really don't understand much about the crypto, I was like, oh, am I sad? Am I happy? But okay.
But you see,
I don't know what they are going to be taxing because the crypto has done people bad.
They should just be left alone.
I don't even know the price of Bitcoin right now, but I know that
it's
the nose is downwards.
It's 1.9. I was having a somebody yesterday.
And you see, these are 3 people on one call who, I mean, now you can imagine in the governing bodies. It's all up in the air, and I mean, for that speed to making it easy to do business should be one thing that governments are focusing on, and especially in Africa, they should. I mean, if I'm trying to do trade across East Africa, it shouldn't be painful, right? It should really, really just be as easy as 3-4 days, maybe 1 month at most, not a couple of years, to be able to actually get that funding.
Yeah, true. That is true. And on that, the regulation, I believe should be easy. But what about the infrastructure around building fintech in Africa? Because I was checking out, I was doing my research, being a CIA, and I saw that every telecommunication operator has their own infrastructure, and I believe that could be a pain, especially when you're trying to integrate across all this, especially if it goes beyond countries. Trying to integrate with all these telecom operators can be such a pain because this one has their own infrastructure, person has there. So what is your opinion on building at least the same sort of infrastructure across Africa for fintech operations?
So I know this all too well because we are trying to integrate with all the mobile network across the market. So I can literally tell you how, and that's one of the value propositions that we present, where we are saying, don't think about which country, what's happening, what's this, how is the integration, what does the API look like. We're not even asking you to do all that, because we're going to do that hard work. We're going to do that heavy lifting, and heavy lifting we do, right? Yeah. It's really heavy lifting, and you start to realize, whew, okay, this is crazy. I think there's a lot that can be done. That's the short answer. But there's also a lot that's already happening that might not be very known. So, for example, if I'm to talk about infrastructure, so maybe let's dumb it down to telecommunications, right? Like which is kind of like the foundation. Telecommunication, every single mobile network operator had their own transmitters, what we call the BTS, the base transmitter systems, right? So you have say Airtel has theirs, Safaricom has theirs, MTN has theirs, Orange has theirs, and stuff. But so there's organizations that have come and they literally take away that, and then they start to manage it. So you have things like co-location. So instead of having maybe a BTS that is handling just say MTN traffic, it could handle MTN and Orange traffic, and they work together just to make sure it's from a capacity building point of view and not so much owning that infrastructure. What that does then is that a telecommunications company then concentrates on what it needs to concentrate on, which is producing minutes and data, and not starting to think about that infrastructure. Then you find PSPs come on board and they're like, okay, listen, because this system is not talking to this system. We will build a system that we will make sure everything is talking, and you have just one connection, and you're able to actually access all that. So there's businesses that are mushrooming out of that problem statement that you brought across Merline. And that's where a lot of this business, so you find it from an infrastructure point of view, from an also tech building point of view. All those things are coming from the fact that there's a lot that needs to be done from an infrastructure communication point of view.
Yeah. Okay. That's a very that's you've explained it so well.
I just want to follow up with just still on that infrastructure, and despite the cost of setting up that infrastructure in Africa, and I saw this when Safaricom was getting into Ethiopia, like the figures that they were quoting were like astronomical. So what's the attraction of Africa still that a company like PawaPay still finds that attraction in Africa? Because I would imagine that this kind of infrastructure is more developed, for example, in Europe or in North America. So it would be easier for them to do business, for example, in Europe, just being that they're based in London. So what's that? What's the sweet spot kind of in Africa that is attracting that kind of investment? Because even inside Africa, we have several companies that are doing this. Like Flutterwave, Safaricom is here. Like several of them. What's that attraction with Africa?
Yeah.
It's I'll put it very simply. It is literally green. It's a green market. Like every big boy has saturated the places you've talked about. The reason why Europe things are working the way they are working is because they've gotten to that point of saturation. Every single person has 3 different cards or whatever, like they're able to, addressing is done. So for example, Amazon coming into Africa is a complete headache, right? Because where am I delivering your package? Think about it, like but then they'll be like, what? Then it probably makes sense to work with even governments to be able to have a fantastic addressing system, because nobody's using Amazon today in Africa, and if people are using Amazon in Africa, it's a 0% that is using 0.0 something percent that's using Amazon in Africa. And this is where, and even when you look at the big boys, all the big boys are not how much Africa is contributing to the total pie is super small, right? Like it's super small. And as we said, like the way we are seeing intra-Africa money movement and all that, it means that there's things that are working well, and this is the right time to start to do those investments. Those crazy numbers that you're hearing, or you're hearing Microsoft saying that they're going to, they have this development centers. And they have a development center in Nigeria. They have another development center in Kenya. They have another one. Like they have started to have ingrown sort of talent, because it's the writing is on the wall that this is the next place, this is the next frontier, and it's not just a figure of speech. It's literally it's really putting good money And this is the right time to put the money, because in the next 10 years, and I hope we can have this conversation at some point where we are literally sitting, especially at tech, and we're like, okay, guys, are you seeing what's happening today? Yeah, because it's gonna be may God keep us alive. I mean, it's gonna be amazing to watch.
Yeah.
And just you have spoken about saturation, and there's some people, I would call them the uninformed people, who think that kind of the payment space in Africa is getting to that saturation point, because like every startup at this moment is thinking about payments. And so you're wondering, like, why can't you just start something else? I mean,
true.
Yeah, are you seeing a point where we could get to a point where we just have too many payment companies? And
I saw a tweet the other day that said, "Not every problem in Africa deserves an app." And I think that's true.
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways to look at it. Because I think about it from cash is still king in Africa, and that's not just a figure of speech. I think there's a publication I've seen. The CEO of Pega did, and I've actually put a bookmark. I'm gonna read that later, and I really wanna just hear, because he's talking. The title of it is something cash is king something, and the truth of the matter is, for as long as cash is king, there's still opportunity for fintechs. Like, there's quite a lot of opportunity in digitizing cash, right? So for example, like, so many things have to continue to happen for us to actually say that we've gotten to the level of saturation. Yeah. So if we sit in Kenya, you can say, oh, when you talk about mobile penetration, we are at 70, 80, 60%. Great. But if you go to another country, that's not the case. So we are literally saying that, and as that grows, there's still going to be a lot of opportunity and a lot of addressable consumers. And there's going to be, as I talked about, merchants also continuing to grow, and having people they can speak to, and having people who are going to have that need for to be able to actually, want to pay, and availing that. So I don't think there's saturation. There was definitely like a sort of a buzz for fintech. Like, there was just there was just like a buzz that was happening, and that is true for everything. If you look at the way I don't know when the last time you went to Luthuli Avenue, and when you look at Luthuli Avenue, I think for me it usually just affirms for anybody who wants to start a business. And even if that business has been done before by 100 people, and you feel like, this is my calling, just go to Luthuli Avenue and you will literally understand. There is like an M-Pesa shop every 5 steps, okay? And what separates one M-Pesa shop from another M-Pesa shop is a chips shop, and there are as many chips shops as there are M-Pesa shops. So when you just use that analogy and you just go there and you're like, these people, but they open every day and they have customers. Like, you go to Luthuli and it's packed to the rafters everywhere. Okay? So yes, there is such a thing as saturation when we even talk about looking at Europe vis-a-vis Africa for the big boys, and even for fintech. But I mean, if you look at not a continent, I mean, it should be a continent. I was about to say the subcontinent that is Nigeria. Country that is Nigeria. For the sheer numbers, they come as a continent.
Yeah.
Come as a continent. Yeah. So if you look at Nigeria, I mean, even if you have 100 payments companies, imagine everyone's gonna eat. Like,
exactly. 1 billion people, you will have some money coming in every day.
People are going to eat. Worry not. Yeah.
But then again, when you look at the flip side of it, in terms of scalability, because when too many players are in the space, and then you're sharing this very small pie, you find that to find that one company that scales and becomes, a unicorn or kind of like a PayPal for Africa becomes kind of a challenge or even impossible. Yeah.
Yes. It's you're right. I mean, you see the beauty for the consumer, right? Like if you're to wear the heart of a consumer in this space where everybody is doing this thing, or it's perceived that everybody is doing this thing, is innovation is always going to be the thing. Pricing is also going to be a thing. And there's always going to be, what can I do better? What can I do better? What can I do better? So from a consumer point of view, I don't see them losing at all. From a people who are doing business in the fintech space, then it literally means that you have to really evolve. You have to have your value proposition really has to really speak, and that's how that's how it's kind of like a self-correcting thing. You know the way everything self-corrects itself, even if you have 100,000 companies. There you said PayPal for Africa. There's gonna be those ones that rise the top and then own that space of being the guys who are those guys, correct? And then you're gonna have the small time players and the mid to big players also going on, right? So I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think innovation, working from a customer-led point of view, will be the one that is going to separate the wheat from the chaff. And then you're also now going to get the real unicorns in Africa, and that is going to be every bit good for the consumer.
Nice.
Amal?
Yeah, so this is Spacia Tech is basically a space for developers to interact and get information. And I'm sure those who will be listening will be wondering, where do we come in all this conversation? How do we come in? I just want to code, so tell me something. So
tell them to go to there is like, let me tell you, developers today, guys in software engineering, back end, front end, all these things. Like, you guys are so hot off the shelf right now. Like, it's crazy. It's your time.
Too hot.
You're on mute, Fred.
You're too hot. So I was wondering, how does your role as a director of customer success, how does it come into, the entire fintech developers interacting with them, the entire management? Where are you positioned, so that the techies just have an understanding of how they can, chip in? How do they, what's their importance in this entire ecosystem?
Okay, so from wearing my hat, I am this role across all fintechs, or most fintechs. This is the engine for information, right? So we are the customer facing people. So we are the ones who give intel. So for example, in terms of, you could build something that you think is fantastic, that like you have no way of knowing apart from the fact that you think it's fantastic and you built it, right? Or you want to build it. I and the customer facing people within fintech are the ones that go like, okay, so for example, what is needed right now is subscription, just as an example. You understand? So if you can build that, then that makes sense. And then have very sort of data-driven conversations where you're like, okay, so how many people have asked for this? What is it that they're asking for? Has it been done before? So that's where we sit, right? Like we sit between, we sit where we collect information, and we are able to pass that information to the team that then is able to ideate and build for what the market is asking for. And then the other space that is interesting today within this fintech world is there's something that you call pre-sales, and a lot of developers and engineers are coming into that space where it's a very tech conversation where you're literally doing the discovery and saying, okay, so this is what my system looks like, and this is what actually I want to get out of this from a payments point of view, and this is what I want payments to look like end to end. And so there's a whole mushrooming pre-sales space that's coming on, and it demands for skill, right?
Yeah.
You can't wing it. I can wing it. I can wing it and wing it through and through. But as far as developers are concerned, there's not so much winging it. It's very binary. It's zeros and ones for you. And that's what the pre-sales team for.
Okay, so there has to be some form of is it customer there has to be some customer analysis that is done before anything can be added or removed from the platforms that you use.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, nice. So how do you onboard a client, B2B client, onto your platform? I'm just going to be very specific with the questions. How does the onboarding, how does it work?
This has moved from Rita to now speaking specifics about my job.
Yeah. Or fintech, or how the platforms work in general.
So there's very many ways to do the onboarding. Okay, not very many ways. I take that back. There could be self-onboarding where you literally, and there's very many tools today that we use for self-onboarding. You have organizations like Ondato that has a self-onboarding, tool that then you aggregate it, and the customer doesn't really need to interact with a human being. They know what they want. So people who are very clear and very technically savvy, and they're able to go in there and, pick and choose what they want, get into the sandbox, play around with the sandbox, do integration, ask for production credentials, do the KYC, still in line, and then, start to work. Like it's just that simple, right? And then you have some the next level of customers who ask for customization, right? So you have to, and that's what the pre-sales comes in, where you're starting to visualize. So I want this button to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and I want this other button to complete the alphabet, for example. So then the onboarding of that becomes very different. That becomes a project of sorts, right? So we start to look at it from a point of, so first of all, how many people do we need? How long do these people need? Or rather, how long when do you want it? And then we start to look at that. So how many people do we need for us to be able to deliver in the time that you want us to deliver that particular solution? And then after that, then, there's the different metrics that we look at to say that, we can move from one point to another. And then there's also the cross-functional working, where you're saying, okay, so we are going to have the tech team handle this from one point to another. The business development team do handle this from this point to another. So that particular way of onboarding is different, and it's longer, but also has customization. So if so there's a sort of a like going to Jumia, for example, it's just a pick off the shelf, get onto the sandbox, ask your production credentials, and go live, right? So that's the one route. The other route is a customization route, and that route takes longer, takes more people, and is even a lot more expensive. So that's the two ways to do the onboarding.
So there's not a lot of support team that is involved in the day-to-day activities of your clients.
That is after traffic has started to move in, whether it is from after production, credentials have been given for a merchant who knows what they want, or one that wants customization. After that is done, there's a handshake, and then it moves 100% to the support guys, and the support guys are the front facing, but at the back there's always the technical teams that are coming in when they need to come in to be able to support. But we've also, and when I say we, I think it's in the fintech space. There's just a lot of support tools that are there now that do not really require a human being to be like, oh, okay, thank you for calling. You're given, like for our organization, you're given a customer portal, and the customer portal, you can raise tickets there. You're able to actually see how the mobile network operators are performing. You're able to see every single transaction. The granularity is amazing, right? Like, so you're able to see, is it the transaction successful? Is it pending? Has it failed? And why has it failed? So you have all that, and literally you don't need me to come in and tell you, you have all these tools, you have all this access, you have different levels of access, so you can have admin rights, you can have, just view rights, all that. So it's literally, we teach you to fish, and you're able to run your business without needing us every single day.
Nice. That's fantastic. When the team doesn't have to be involved every day, it makes sure that your clients, that self-sufficiency of your clients means you can use that energy to go into other things or making the services better for them. Yeah.
Correct.
So Fred is giving me a nudge over here. She's like, let's go back to Rita. I don't want to hear about no,
and this question is this question is concerned with the cost of domestic payments. And when I often hear people blaming Safaricom, for instance, that M-Pesa is just so expensive, and well, it's expensive even for me too. Knowing that now you have to send people money, and then when you send people money, you have to send it with something, and then
a mess.
But other telcos like you find that other telcos like Airtel or I don't know whether does Telecom have a money?
It does. It does agents.
Yeah, I think they have. You find that it is cheaper. So make me understand why for one telco it might be that expensive, and then for another one it is relatively cheaper.
Monopoly.
Okay.
Ni wao wakusema so watasema. Exactly. Utafanya nini? Utahama uende wapi?
So monopoly is a reason why I think okay, so if we look at it in a very one-sided way, it would be monopoly. But there's also the other side, which is we also, there's what the government is asking of, right? And then when you look at, you've given the example of Telcom, and you've also given the example of Airtel Money. For them to lower the cost, the way they have lowered the cost is, first of all, acquisition, right? So they're trying to convince you, you need to come on this other side. And I really wish, there was that sort of balance, because what the balance does is always good for the consumer, because once you have competition, and innovation is kind of at its peak, the other thing is price, right? So we are literally just going to be talking about price. You're going to be like, okay, so how much are you giving me? I know what you give me from an Mbps point of view. I know what you give me from a price per minute for my calls, but I know the system, rather that your network is stable, but how much are you going to give me that minute for? So you start to have those conversations. But if an operator has quite the lion's share of a place, then they can the one who, whatever's the tune, how do you say that thing? That one, I've forgotten. Yes, that one. So because they are the ones who are tooting the flute, it's easier to do that. And also what Airtel are also doing is trying to tell you, what, Fred, come over to this side. We'll tell you, there's price that should make you move over. There's also interoperability, right? Like you can send money to somebody in M-Pesa. Why don't you get an Airtel line? There's that conversation.
Yeah.
But Kenyans are hard on hearing. Or I don't know, I'm not too sure what's going on, but
loyalty. I'll give them that.
But what do you say, loyalty, and then you talk about price, like, oh, it's expensive, but I'm loyal. But yeah, so that's why. I mean, and to give Safaricom and M-Pesa their flowers is that they haven't gotten there because they were asleep at the job, right? Like they were able to read the signs very, very early. They became a common one-entry product very, very early. They were able to identify. We were able to identify with them, and I think we still do. It's almost like the way we used to identify with Nakumat. They only identify with Tusker.
Tusker.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think there's a time I traveled. Why did I see a Tusker? And I lost my mind. Like, literally. Lost my... Not like I was even actually drinking it. It's like...
Oh my gosh. I know the brand.
No. And it's not like it's coming off my pocket or anything. You know, like, it's not... Yeah, but it's just one of those. It's just one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, and just the final question on fintech before we move to other fun stuff. In your opinion, from where you sit, what do you think is remaining now in terms of innovation, in terms of reach? What remains to be covered in Africa that could provide an opportunity for maybe a startup founder or even a company that is looking to kind of innovate what they already have? What's the space that's remaining? Is the space on the runway that much, or we are just about kind of covered everything, if I may say simply?
That's a good question, and I think I just want to think about it a little more. I think there's a lot that is left. So first of all, I think the runway is like, we have thousands of kilometers as far as runway is concerned. From tech, completely. I think the ideal thing would be everything runs on technology, because when everything runs on technology, accessibility then becomes
easier,
and our way of life becomes better. Money in our pockets becomes more. So the what is left is the understanding, first of all, like the basic understanding that technology is to make everything that much better, and will create an independence that we all need to be able to be a self-sustaining continent. And I obsess about Africa. So forgive me when I talk about borders and I talk about all these things. For me, I'm just like, like the Pan-African I'm like, I can't wait for us. And that's what I'm talking about, thousands and thousands of kilometers as far as runway is concerned.
Yeah.
So what is left, or what needs to be done even faster, is one, the governing bodies and the government need to be on the same page, because there isn't a lot of it's almost like the thing that keeps on cutting your legs. It's the thing that keeps on, like, telling you, no, we're gonna go back to analog, or we're not gonna move to digital space. Like we're not gonna move to tech. It's almost like there's that friction. So in terms of, people need to start to speak from the same page, in terms of, we know what this can do for us. We know that the time is now. That we know that we need to lay a lot more groundwork to be able to support our people. That's the first thing. The second thing that I think needs to be done from a tech space is it started to be done, but it needs to be done more. It's the different sectors or segments needs to start to work with technology. So when we start to talk about HR tech, it's not just a buzzword. There's just so much you can do, from taking care of people from a technological point of view, and just making sure that everything is available in that way. Influencer tech, I think I am so crazy about this particular space, and you guys need to have Aseka come and sit on this podcast, because
recommend somebody.
I will.
Yes.
I will do that. I will do that for you guys. So there is a lot, Fred, without going into the nitty-gritty, that continues to be a need and not a want for businesses to excel. Having the knowledge, first of all, that's one thing that I feel like is completely missing. Like, we don't, and I don't know if this is a cultural thing per se. It's just that, like, we are not we need to understand completely. And even I'm challenging myself, like what Merline you said, in terms of crypto, I don't understand it enough to be able to. You remember that conversation in the beginning, but we do need to start to, and that's what I'm talking about from a we have so much to do and we have so much to cover, and a lot of it is in this black box of lack of information, or lack of adequate information in that sense, and then also lack of information and lack of tying that to what the benefits are. And then also investing in ourselves, like that's another thing that is very, that we don't have enough of, right? Like we need to, I mean, even the developers, like in terms of how do you make sure that you are learning more and you're up to date as far as, coming in and saying, okay, again, the example of subscription, for example, I'm saying, okay, so I know the developed market subscription is something that is done super easily and I don't need to have to be in a bank or whatever. How can I solution for that? So that takes exposure. That takes you taking the extra step to be able to. So there's just so much that can be done from scaling sectors. Agritech is such an amazing green space. And that's a double entendre, right? Like it's agriculture, green and everything. Like there's just so much that can be done from an agri-tech point of view that we just don't realize that we will make better crop by having information. There's organizations like WeFarm that are doing amazing things. So there's just so much that, I think we need a whole other podcast in terms of how much runway we need and the things that we
I'm starting to think so too. You're lighting up when you speak about it.
Your question in the way, because I mean it's a very broad thing, but the short answer is that we have barely scratched surface. There's just so much that we can do.
Oh wow! Oh, well, so Mal.
Yeah.
And go ahead and ask Rita what she's thinking.
You're digesting the questions.
Oh well, yeah.
Digesting the answers she's just given.
Yeah.
It's a lot of information to have in one sitting. So yeah, I am with you on that one. So yeah, just to take the heat off of fintech and put it back on Rita. So what does a day in the life of Rita Njeri looks like?
Lots of coffee.
A lot. Yeah, text and coffee.
I'm trying to be a better human. I take a lot of coffee. So a day in the life. These days I'm running behind time, so I need to sort that out. So I'll say that already. I don't know if it's because I can't believe it's November and there's just so many things that I need to. I don't know if I'm alone in this, and if I am, it's okay.
I'm with you. It's like it was February, and then now I don't know. It's November.
Correct. It's like, it's a lot. But my gratitude practices are super core in my life. That's how I start my day, and I try to every. I mean, it's not. I don't 100%, do it every day, but I try to spread that gospel even with myself, and just try to make sure that gratitude practices are done. Right. I like the outdoors, and outdoors not from a hiking or running.
I'd invite you to one if you liked hiking, but okay.
No, I go through a heartbreak. Apparently,
oh my God. It can just be a hobby. No,
apparently it cannot be a hobby.
Man who gave me character development. It's just something you have to do. Just to put it out there.
Yeah, there you go. I heard that no one ever goes up mountains just for the sake of it. Yeah, so no.
That I have to say off camera. It's not no.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So I mean, so I try to get different spots to work from, and like places that really just are zen in nature. I love to host. So you find in the week there's either we are hosting somebody in the house or cooking and all that. That really something that I like to do.
Nice. That's some fun. So what's your current drive? What are you driving, or what's your dream car?
Currently driving currently driving a Tiguan.
If I knew what that looked like, but okay.
It's a Volkswagen Tiguan.
For me, as long as it can move, I'm good.
Okay. I mean that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
My dream car always used to be, I used to say in my vision boards, I used to say the X5 when I can afford to go into a showroom and buy the X5 for that year. Like whatever that year is going to be. I haven't gotten there. I don't even know that I care for it anymore. Like these days, like that whole car thing just doesn't
flow with you anymore.
Just like Ubers and Bolts came to just make things just super easy. And I'm like, okay, so why? I'm not to say that I don't like nice things, and even if I was to get that X5 for the year that I can afford to go into a showroom and say, nifungie hiyo moja tafadhali. Zero mileage.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Fred.
Yeah. How do you let your hair down these days, Rita? Like, what do you do for fun?
I am boring, Fred. I am extremely boring. What do I do for fun? I'm a lover of music, so and not
wow,
yeah.
Okay.
I want to see your Spotify Wrapped.
Sorry?
I want to see your Spotify Wrapped when it comes out.
I can't wait. I literally actually do. I used to do every single week on IG where people would then, I'll do like a crowd sourcing playlist.
Yeah.
That's how much I love music. So with the love of music, I also love to go for concerts. So I let my hair down very much as far as concerts are concerned.
A favorite genre?
R&B, hands down.
You're a lover girl. I see you.
Yeah, completely. A sucker for love.
Yes.
Yeah, that's I think. And then I travel quite a bit, and I travel. Luckily, I've also just had the good fortune of having work that allows me to travel, and then I also do travel. I from 2008, I said I was going to go somewhere new every year.
Nice.
Yes. And I managed to do that for almost a decade.
I want to be you when I grow up.
It's actually easier. You just have to
be intentional about it. Yeah.
Deny yourself a few things. You'll be able to, that part is going to work out. When I took my sabbatical for 9 months, I actually did a backpacking trip for 2.5 months in the Europes. So
again, I want to be you when I grow up.
yeah. But I will be toiling for some time because my bank account has never recovered.
You know what? Those memories will be with you for the rest of your life, so it's okay.
100%. Yeah.
Wow. Do you read Bikozulu?
I love Bikozulu.
Me too.
I've been reading his blog since I think it was since 2012.
Are you Team Tuesday? Are you Team Tuesday notification?
There's a question. I like the way he does questions in the Business Daily, and the way he frames his questions. And there's this question that he asked a guest that I want to ask you. Like, is there a particular question that you're constantly asking right now in this season of your life? I found that question to be so profound. So I don't know what your answer could be to that question.
The question that I'm constantly asking myself.
Yeah.
It's a bit morbid.
I know, yeah.
Let's go. The question I keep on asking myself is the loved ones and death. Like, who is it? Me? Is it them? Are they gonna have long life? Are they gonna be healthy? Can I handle loss that is close home? Those questions happen, or rather that big question about death happens to me almost on a daily. And it's not great. So let's just swim upstream.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Fred, you took me there. I mean,
Yeah.
Him.
yeah.
But yeah, that's it's something I can't say I think about it every day because I don't like to think about stuff like that. But yeah, especially if you've not experienced something like that, it's something that really is always just at the back of your mind. You're always wondering. And I think as you grow older, um,
Yeah.
those things start to matter. Health, yeah, happiness,
Right.
contentment. Yeah, you start to think a lot about them.
True,
But
true.
yeah.
So, Mark, you have anything?
Me? Do you like ice cream?
I think I love cake more than ice cream. I love cake and ice
Oh,
cream.
so what's your favorite flavor?
Salted caramel.
No, I need to
From
eat.
Haagen-Dazs specifically.
Aha.
Yes.
I,
And
I, I,
maybe one day we should have ice cream.
we should. I'll introduce you to other flavors. I don't know. Caramel seems like you've tasted things, but you're going for comfort. You're going to your comfort zone. You need
And
to.
there is nothing wrong with comfort. Like, with things like ice cream, I don't care for element of surprise. Like,
Oh,
no.
I love a palatial element of surprise. Please surprise me, beat me up.
I will tell you, I stand you people. I'm like, no. I found salted caramel and I was like, this is home.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
this is
this is where I'm
I
gonna
live.
stick.
And I've been living there, but I'm open to, because you explore, I would explore with you, but just for a day.
Oh, that's fine. A day is
Yeah.
enough to change your mind.
Schools.
But it's been fun. I have learned a lot, and I will definitely be hitting you up again because yes, I want to learn more about the space and get into fintech. So yeah, this is away from the cameras. Expect me in your DMs.
Sure
Yes,
thing. And I think this is amazing what you guys are doing.
thank you.
And I hope that you guys are going to, grow. Whatever your intent is actually comes to fruition.
Yeah, thank you.
I can't wait to see you guys. If the dream is to be able to sit with the heads of Stripe
That's
and
That is the goal.
yeah,
It's the goal.
and the satyrs of this world.
Vision 2030.
May that be your portion and may it actually come to fruition.
Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for gracing us. Fred was so scared. Oh my God, Stanford, graduate.
Actually, I was very tense as I said at the beginning of this interview. When when Saruni gave me your name, I asked Saruni what somebody you can talk to about this, and he gave me your name. And when I looked you up on LinkedIn, I was like, well.
he came to me. He was like, "Have you done your research?" I was like, "Whoa, what did you find?" Tell me.
Oh, now the question I have for Fred is that I hope I did not disappoint you.
No. Actually,
have you seen his face
I'm
throughout the 1
surprised how
hour?
easy it has been to talk to you, and
Exactly.
it just has been an amazing 1 hour.
Yeah.
And I'm really so grateful to Saruni first, and because he'll be listening to this, and also for you, Rita. It's been a lovely conversation, and I'll probably look forward to doing this in the future, maybe next year or at the beginning of next year.
No. Very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I am ready. I am an email, a phone call, a text away. Let me know if any way that you guys would want me to support you guys. I am more than happy to. If I can do it, I will do it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've personally learned a lot and had fun. You're so easy. So yeah, it's nice to have guests that are easy on the podcast because now that 5 minutes of silence. Okay, so yeah, is the sky blue on your end?
So
So thank you
the
so
color
much.
question. Like, what colors do you like?
What? It's been fun having you here, and we're so happy that you came. And after all that, so thank you so much for coming to the podcast. We've learned a lot, and we are hoping to have you again on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Merline. Thank you, Fred. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.